Welcome back, listeners, to Learning from Friends. My name is Cade Curtis, your tour guide in this awesome journey that we get to do every 2 weeks together. I am lucky that this evening I am sitting in Athens, Georgia on the back porch of our interviewee this evening, and we are being serenaded by these lovely crickets on this hot 90-plus degree humid weather that we've got, but it is amazing to be surrounded by friends, amazing to learn all this new things that we can be able to do every day and grow as people. So as you all know, before I start into our episodes, I always do a quote of the day from my mother, who sends these to me. The one we have today comes from Nikita Gill. It goes, "We have calcium in our bones, iron in our veins, carbon in our souls, and nitrogen in our brains. 93% stardust with souls made of flames. We all just stars that have people names." Love the quote, Mom. Thank you for sending that in and always being a great motivation every single day for me, whether it's a good day or a bad day. You always have my back. So shout out to guardians, brothers, sisters, cousins, your dog, your cat, everybody that gives you a smile in your life. Say thank you. That's the key thing there. Now, there are several issues going around the United States today that are challenging and starting to change as our country's landscape and awareness are being more addressed. Some are more visible, while most are heavily overlooked due to stereotypes and entrenched beliefs that have yet to go away. Before I introduce the topic, I want you to take a moment, grab a piece of paper, think about the locally owned businesses in your community. Write down some information for me. Do you know the person's name? What's their age? Their gender? What type of business is it? Lastly, write down their ethnicity. I'll pause for a moment as you try to, write this stuff down before we start going into the episode. See if you can come up with four. Okay, I'll take a moment with this information. Take a look at it and see if, out of these people that I have written down, see if any of these are black males. This is the political issue that I'm looking to address in this episode today. I'm speaking to a good friend of mine, Paron, a black male entrepreneur in Athens, Georgia. This is a nationwide issue, not just a state, not just a local. This is a nationwide issue. It's a lot worse in the South, though, as we are still entrenched in these old ideologies that have held back black advancements to some within these communities throughout the United States. And right now in the South specifically, it's still a problem. Paron will give us his viewpoint and suggestions on the matter to help shed some lights on this topic that needs more attention in our daily lives. Paron, welcome into the podcast, my friend.
Cade, how are you, good sir?
I am doing great. I'm sweating right now, but that is okay. You've got a towel, and I've just got a giant, tumbler worth of water.
I think we might be moving inside shortly. Yeah, I thought it would be a little cooler out here around this time. I think this is fine if you're okay with it.
I mean,
I'm okay with it now, but I don't want to sweat continuously throughout the show.
Hey, that is okay.
But I'm good. Definitely good to see you. It's been so long.
10 years.
It has been 10 years. When did you leave UGA?
2011. I graduated 2011, May of 2011. I stayed here till August of 2011.
And then I left. So it has been 10 years, man. So you're ugly as shit, as always.
It's true. It's okay.
But you're still my guy. I love you to death.
Hey, at the end of the day, I still own a pretty good record on you in fantasy football. So
you own a very horrible record over me in fantasy football. I don't know. I cannot beat you in fantasy football. I don't know. You definitely own me on that. But appreciate you for having me on the show, good sir.
Oh, it is beyond a pleasure. Any time to get to reconnect with old friends and see in place and learn and stuff, it's a beautiful day. And being able to sweat out here together, it's a beautiful thing. So, Paron, paint us a picture. Who is Paron?
Paron is someone that is very ambitious. Paron is someone who always wants the betterment of his loved ones, the fellow man, but more so his loved ones. Paron is a music artist. He's a hip-hop artist. Paron is a black man. And Paron is a man. He's emotional, contradicting, but solid in his convictions. and his beliefs. Confident, but not as confident as he should be. He's disciplined, but not as disciplined as he can be and will be. Of course, he's a family man of 20 years, and that's probably my purpose for the people who have my last name and the people who I helped bring into this world and the people who I said I would, look after and take care of, and the ones that expect me to be responsible for them. Nieces, nephews, uncle, brother, son. Somebody's definitely trying to leave a legacy and break a generational curse. A goofball. Definitely a goofball.
Good man. That's what I'm going to say on it.
I appreciate
great
that.
Great man, great friend.
Appreciate that.
Motivational speaker.
Try to be.
You don't sit still. You're a man of everything.
If I sit still, then we're not living, right?
That's true. I think as Bob Dylan said, if you're not busy living, you're busy dying.
That's very true. Bob Dylan did say that.
They did, and I love that quote to it. And that's one thing you always continue to do. And this is why it's a great person to talk to about entrepreneurship, because you have to have all these qualities and that drive to be an entrepreneur, because that's your livelihood. That's your bread and butter. That's how you're putting stuff on the table here. So how do we know each other, Paron? Like, what we kind of gave a little bit of information here.
A little bit.
How do we know each other?
So we met each other at the UGA bookstore in 2010. Both were associates, both on completely different paths. I was 26, 27, married, a bunch of little babies biting at my ankles, telling me I need to do something with my about to be 30 ass. I started working at the bookstore in the stadium, and then whoever the supervisor was I was under for the stadium work asked me if I wanted to come over and work at the bookstore, and I had known somebody that worked at the bookstore already, Crystal Burton. Yeah,
good old Crystal.
Yeah, good old Crystal. So I
always tell it to you true.
Oh yeah.
Always.
You already know Crystal. Straightforward. I think I started beginning of a football season in 2010.
You started working shipping and receiving, wasn't it, in the back for the bookstore?
Shipping in the back with Debbie. Yeah, shipping and receiving in the back with Debbie.
And we started doing what was that? That was the summer of Plunko, was it, or is it? What do we call it? Where we had the team.
So I missed Plunko.
Oh man.
Yeah, I missed Plunko.
I thought you were in on that one.
No. I missed. I came in maybe a couple months after that. Yeah. So I came in a couple months after that. But for the most part, though, that's how we met each other at the bookstore. But we've established a relationship through fantasy football.
Now, yeah, going on 10 plus years.
Going on 10 plus years. And it'll always be a quick back and forth text coming up during the season as far as you're in and I'm in, because you guys turned me on to fantasy football.
You and your Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
Me with my Atlanta Falcons. We both struggle right now.
We both struggle, but we have a Super Bowl ring, so don't we're not in the same category anymore. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so
hurts my soul.
But it's okay. But yeah, good old UGA, man, good old UGA bookstore. That's where a lot of my stuff started at right now. If I didn't start at the bookstore in 2010, it's a lot of things that would not be taking place for me right now, to be completely honest with you.
And that led to you being able to get your capital and stuff ready to become that entrepreneur step off further than you already are.
For sure.
Like, how did you start to become an entrepreneur?
I have it in my blood. My family out of Philadelphia, the Rippies, they own several businesses like bars and stuff like that. My grandfather, he owned a couple businesses, ran a couple bars and whatnot. Philadelphia in the 60s and the 70s, that was a thing, your nightclubs and whatnot. So if you can get into that game, then you were making a little bit of money. So the entrepreneurial spirit and blood is running through me. And being from Philadelphia, that's what we see. We have a lot of entrepreneurs and self-employed people in Philadelphia, but we also have a lot of blue collar, go to work 20, 30 years and get that little bit of money at the end of giving up 40 years of their life. But it's all in the days though, man. So you can't knock them. You know what I mean?
True.
It's all in the days.
At the end of the day, you got to put bread on the table for your family.
You have to.
You got to take care of yours.
Definitely. And I'll flip burgers for 20 years if I need to, just to take care of them. So I don't plan on doing that, but I will if I need to.
with your attitude of life, of pushing forward, you may get put on your ass 10, 15 times, but you're going to get right back up each time.
We got to, baby. We got to.
You are going to. So at what age did you kind of create your first business?
I was 27, 2011, and the first business venture was my music label. Worked for it INC when it wasn't a real establishment. But yeah, we started in 2011, and that was like my first real like taste of entrepreneurship because I had to do everything on my own. Of course, I didn't record myself, but besides that, it was promoting myself, doing the flyers, designing the flyers and stuff like that, and then having my graphic designer, like I would think of it in my head, and my graphic designer, he was just doing flyers here and there for like football teams and all that, and I've basically brung him along this ride. He's done every like flyer for me, every cover for me and stuff like that. I was at a little crossroads in life. I had two big losses family-wise, back-to-back in 2009 and 2010. My brother and my daughter had passed. For me, it was, I got a family, still had kids, wife, and I was still young, still 27 years old. Like I said, I was at a crossroads where it's when you have hardship like that and those trials and tribulations, it's like either you're going to go ahead and give in and just fall, break, die, or you're going to go to new heights and a new level and really put life in perspective. And that's what it was for me. I've always been an artist, an MC, as they call them. I'm of the hip hop generation. I was born in 1982, so I am hip hop. Hip hop grew with me. I grew with hip hop. So I knew that was the first thing that I was going to do, that I was going to love to do, was create not a persona, but just a rap career for myself, and just do this and not try to get signed by a label, but sign myself, create my own. And that's what I did. And 10 years later, 11 years later, we are so many projects in and notoriety for the most part. And yeah, so that was my first business venture, was creating my music label. And it's still around. Turned into different things, but we'll get into that later. Yeah.
Well, what other ventures have you gotten involved with? Because you wear many hats, many things. Like what's the other projects you got going on now?
So about 2016, I was working at the Georgia Museum of Art, GMOA. Shout out to my GMOA family. Shout out to the Georgia Museum of Art family. I was working there as a supervisor. I had been there for about almost 4.5 years. Started as a guard. I left the bookstore, I think 2013. I started at GMOA in 2012. Working as a guard, and then moved up to supervisor. And I knew the money I was making was good. I had just started making a little bit of money. It was on salary, so forth and so on. But I knew we needed more money, and I knew that I didn't want to go somewhere else and work for someone else. So one of the things that I've always done, I started in the job sector, private sector, if you will, when I was 14, summer job. And one thing I've always done was clean, yard work, clean, stuff like that. My first job out of high school was like one of the cleaning jobs in Philadelphia when I moved back home to Philly. So it was probably like October of 2016, and I just went into the museum one morning. I'm opening it up and walking through, and I was just like, something got to give. Something got to change.
Yeah.
Something has to change. And it wasn't like the museum was a bad place or anything like that. I loved it. I would probably still be there right now. But I decided to open up a cleaning business. We already had the label, and it was doing what it does. I mean, independent music artists, you're going to make your money if you want to make some money, but it's not anything to live off of, anything like that. But so I was making a little bit of money from my music, but not a lot. So I said, okay, well, we can have a cleaning service. And so I started the WFI cleaning service. And that was I think I started the LLC in October of 2016. I left the museum December of 2016, and I had my first little contract by, let's say, February 2017.
Nice.
Yeah. It was kind of funny because the first thing I said was, I'm definitely not going to be cleaning windows and cleaning homes, like living homes. And my first few jobs were window cleaning.
Hey, you got to establish
you got to do it.
You got to do it. Who you are, what you can do, the establishment of I can do good work. I can be able to take care of you.
Exactly. So, yeah, so we started not the security company, we started the cleaning company. And that was that. It was just the music label and the cleaning company for a while. Then, and I had an idea of, okay, if I can start security as well down the line.
You had the background already in it.
I had the background, I had the background or whatever. And I had been...
Work with the skills you already have.
Exactly. And at that point in time, by 2016, 2017, I probably had about maybe 6 to 7 years security experience. Of course, now it's upward to 12, 13 years, something like that.
We get older every day somehow.
Man, we do, right? We do. We had the cleaning company for about a year and some change. And I had got a couple contracts. Some realtors were doing their turnkeys for them. Goodwill, I cleaned them for a little bit. I had a contract for a few months with them. Actually, it was almost close to a year. But then I got a call from Tracy from the bookstore. You remember Tracy from the bookstore?
I do.
She's not there anymore. So she called me and she was like, "Do you still have the cleaning company?" Because, of course, we promote on social media. Yeah, right?
You got to work those connections.
And I said, yeah. And Tracy and herself, I love her to death. She says, make your next move your best move.
Always.
I'm like,
that's a great line of advice for anyone.
I said, okay. Got the button up and the slacks. Went on up to the bookstore or whatever. And Chris Sutton was still there. Talked to Chris, and Bob was still there. He's retired, but he was still there in 2017. And I talked to him. And I talked to Chris, and they said, well, we got a new manager. It wasn't, who was there? Jim was there when you were there. Now it's a woman named Kimberly Wraith. Shout out Kim. She's dope. Definitely appreciate her. They said, we got a new manager, so you have to talk to her. We know you, but that doesn't mean shit.
It's a foot in the door.
Yeah, it's a foot in the door.
You got to have that foot in the door.
So I pitched my whatever to her. Shoot
your shot, man.
Yeah, shoot my shot. I talked to her. We talked numbers or whatever, and I told her I know the bookstore system and I know what the season is like. Very familiar with UGA game days and all that or whatever.
You know the building.
Definitely know the building. Knew a lot, because only people there now that were there when we were working is Debbie and Chris. But when I got the contract in 2017, it was still about maybe 10 or 12 people still there.
Yeah.
So everybody was comfortable with me for the most part. I think
How
I
can
started.
you not be comfortable with you, man?
I mean, I'm large. I'm African American. People get a little shaky around me.
Do you know?
People get a little shaky around me.
But they got to know the gentle giant behind.
They got to know. Never judge a book by its cover, right? No, but yeah, everybody was comfortable around me, and I think it was October of 2017 where I got the bookstore contract, and from there it was like, okay, now this is steady. As long as I do my job, this is steady, because when you're window cleaning, they're not calling you every day for a window cleaning. They're not calling you every day for carpet cleaning and whatnot. The Goodwills, they're not that big as far as their business centers. They're not that big. So that was only a couple days out the week. And so we had multiple jobs, but they were light jobs. With the bookstore, it was nice little steady income. So did that. And it was through one season. That 2017 season, I was cleaning after one of the games, and I had told Kim she had to watch a couple of the people that was coming in and out, like towards the end of the game. And, when the game is going on, because everybody's walking in with book bags, you don't know who's taking what. You don't know what's being
brought in.
Yeah, you don't know what's being brought in. You don't know who's taking what. And so Howard, remember Howard?
I remember Howard.
He overheard me. And when he overheard me, he told Kim, Paron talking about security, what's going on with as far as people taking stuff and all that. And come on, man, you know the bookstore.
Those numbers are high.
Man, you know the bookstore.
Where there was only 6 or 7 of us watching the store during game day, and
they're taking everything out.
Oh yeah, I mean, you can only do so much.
Well, let me rephrase that. We've had the contract for 4 years. They used to take everything out of
there. There you go.
So
they used
to take everything out of there. But yeah, so Howard overheard me, and I think it was, like I said, it was like towards like the end of the season. So he said, we'll try you out. If you can bring me some people, get a security team in here, we'll run you through G-Day, next G-Day.
Man, yeah.
Of course I was like, yeah.
Let's go.
In my head, I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? No, you don't run a security company. You don't have people to run a security company. Like I do, man. I put my head to it and came up with a plan, and was like, next season we're gonna have this bookstore for security. And we got through the G-Day, 2018 G-Day, going into that season. I got a couple good guys around me. Shout out to my first security team that was with me or whatever, they know who they are. So I put a couple good guys around me for that G-Day, and we knocked it out. And he was like, look, send Kim some numbers and we'll have you for game days and signings and stuff like that. And we've been rocking it out ever since.
That is some good money right there, too, just coming in and out of that building.
Yeah, definitely. So that's what I'm doing right now as far as entrepreneurial, just running the label still, as always, the cleaning company and the security company. I got a couple other things in motion, but those are a little bit down the line.
But you got to be always thinking ahead.
Always.
You got to be thinking that next step.
Definitely.
What's that next thing?
Definitely.
Hey, businessman is never satisfied.
No, not at all. We don't get a lot of sleep and we're always broke, but it's worth it.
It is. That's what drives you forward.
It is.
That's the drive, that hunger of finding that next thing.
Yeah, that next thing. And it's not for me, it's not the prize, right? The money. I think it's like the knowledge that comes.
I would say it's a pride for me.
The pride.
That's what I look for. I look to the pride.
Yeah, a little bit of it's prideful.
It's yourself saying, hey, this is what I can do. This is what I can bring to my family. This is me being able to show off as I am as an individual. Because as you mentioned in the beginning of your introduction, is as people, we are self-doubters of our own self. Yes. And if we are our own worst critic. And if we can be able to prove to ourselves, hey, I can do this one thing. What can I do next to be able to continue and grow? And that, for me, builds pride.
True.
And if you can be a prideful person yourself, you can bring others along with you.
Very true.
That's the way I look at it.
Very true. So yeah, it's definitely a pride thing. I don't know, and it's the hunt for me, right?
That's the caveman.
Yeah, right. Yeah, definitely. Most definitely, it's the hunt for me to being able to think about it, manifest it, and then get it done, and then do it with minimal help. I have help. I definitely have help, and shout out to everybody who's involved and helps me push forward. They know exactly who they are. It's only a small group of people, but they know.
Hey, it doesn't.
Exactly.
The small can move mountains.
Yeah,
man.
definitely. So, but when I say minimal help, besides those great people that been rocking with me for so long, it's about the end result. It's the end result, being able to say, okay, boom, we got to this finish line. We succeeded. It's like I said, it's the hunt for me. It's the drive. It's the work that gets put in, the learning that I get from the struggles and the trials and tribulations, and then just being able to sit back once it's done.
Yeah. Right.
Once it's done, being able to sit back and be like, okay, boom. And of course, everything has purpose, right? So everything you do should have purpose.
It's true.
And so once the purpose is fulfilled and it's maintaining, then that's what I love the most. I love the money too that comes in sometimes.
It does help out. It does help do some things from time to time.
Some things, especially in this society, especially today.
You're moving into you're in a new house.
Man, it's it's not the Taj Mahal, but we're good. We're blessed to have.
You got a roof over your head. You can take care of family. Safe location.
Definitely.
That's what matters the most.
Definitely.
And for those that are starting a business, do your research. Look at your licenses you need. Get your tax ID stuff.
Please do.
If you're not good at taxes, fine. You get an accountant, CPA. Yes. My whole entire projections to it. I've got 2 different LLCs, about to have 3. Get your stuff in order.
Definitely just make sure your paperwork is in order.
Yes.
Listen, Uncle Sam is always going to want his money, so
always
take care of Uncle Sam. But make sure your paperwork is in order. Make sure you're licensed properly. You're insured. Over anything else.
Licensed, bonded. Get it all.
Over anything else, make sure you're bonded and insured. Even if you ain't got the LLC yet, get the insurance.
Hey, you got to take care of it, because if everybody, you could slip and fall at any given moment on someone's property, or anybody could claim something against you.
Oh man, yeah.
And that's just seeing licensed and bonded will get you in the door for people.
Definitely,
it will. Now that's the transition here. We had some background information. We got some knowledge there about how you are as an entrepreneur and how you've got a little bit of knowledge on that. Let's go to the social awareness aspect.
Okay.
Is there any just basic things that you've noticed, maybe from just observations, that you can see that would be a difference for maybe getting started or being able to have the longevity of a business between male and female Black entrepreneurship?
Yes and no, because the struggles are going to be somewhat similar, but women are still fighting a struggle of all color, right?
Yes.
So that's a yes and no type of situation. In 2022, it really comes down to you.
Okay.
To be honest, as far as your longevity goes, if you're able to get your foot in the door, because we know it's all about marketing and whatnot. And then you have to know what you're going up against. if you're a black male and you're an entrepreneur, I'm a black male entrepreneur in the South.
There's a lot of roadblocks with racism.
A lot of roadblocks.
Yeah, just certain communities are going to be more accepting than others.
Definitely.
Unfortunately, it's something that somebody can tell you it's going away. It's not. It's still here.
The ideology. And so I prepare myself for that, and I've met that. Not so much as door to door, but when somebody would ask for me to come out to their home and give them a quote when they see my stature, whatever it may be, is when I had dreads or something like that. And they would be, I guess, maybe somewhat taken aback. You would just see that, okay, maybe if I was if I was a different color, if I was still black, but maybe smaller, more, not so with a deep voice or stuff like that.
Muscular build.
Muscular build and stuff like that. Just a lot of people from the ideology that's off-putting, if that's a proper word to use, as far as having a black male of my stature in their home.
Unfortunately, stereotypes. It's a thing that people pick up.
Yeah, definitely. You know, in 2022, it's definitely like up to you how far your business will go if you are steadfast about it and do the proper marketing, promoting, are serious about your work, regardless if you're a black male or a black female. Of course, it's always about who you know. What you know can get you a conversation.
Yes.
Right? So what you know, you're able to hold a conversation with whoever about what you know. But who you know is going to put you in a position that you want to be put in. And so networking is key now and probably always. And for black males and females, especially entrepreneurs, networking had to be key 30, 40, 50 years ago, just to get a small janitorial contract or graphic design contract or something like that. So now, beyond anything, it's about who you know. Like I said, what you know, what you do, it'll get you a conversation and it'll get you networking, but who you know will put you in position. Like I said, in 2022, regardless of if you're a black male, female, young, old, or whatever, it's completely up to you as far as how far you go.
Now, how do you approach the situations like whenever you're going into a household and you've noticed somebody is judging you by the way that you've walked up and the way you look, and you can tell, you can just feel the vibe that, okay, this person's not comfortable. How do you approach that situation?
I mean, I'm me always.
That's what I've always respected about you. You're always you.
Yeah, I'm me always. It's not even, I don't know. I can't like give you like a tactic of how I approach it, right? Because I'm just me through the door. And if I notice that you're uncomfortable with me, or I say I know somebody and I'm bidding on a contract and we're sitting down, we're talking about a contract, but the business partner might have a slight issue with me, or he or she is challenging me on my knowledge of whatever contract I'm bidding for, something like that, because of my race or whatever. I approach it as me. I don't really care how you feel, in a sense. I'm here for a job.
Yeah.
I'm here to get the job done. If I get the contract, or if I'm hired, or however you want to look at it, I'm going to go ahead and get the job done. And your personal feelings really don't matter to me either way. You got to think certain black people in the South are taken aback by outspoken African Americans, regardless if they're from the South or from the North. Me being from the North is like a double negative for me, for some people, right?
For some people it is.
For some people, right? So, and with that being said, it's like it doesn't necessarily have to be a white person or Indian person or whoever is taken aback. It could be the custodian who works for an establishment and they're getting paid through that establishment, but then they see my cleaning company and the cleaning company, and that establishment is contracting me to do something for them completely different from a 9-to-5. And they could be like, feel some type of way, but it's not up to me to care. It's if you want to talk to me about how I got started and so forth and so on, then that's fine. But it's not up to me to care about how you feel about me, because if I'm in your home or if I'm in your business and we're discussing a contract and money, then I'm already where I need to be at.
Yes. That is the biggest thing at the end of the day for it.
I'm already where I need to be at. So I'm not like at the back door asking to come in. I'm not handing my card out and somebody saying no solicitation, we're already talking numbers.
Yeah.
We're already sitting down. I'm here. So if I can give you a way how I approach it, that's how I approach it.
That's the best way to. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Sit back and look at it. Now, looking at your opinions, and it comes back to
of course.
Looking through numbers and stuff, a lot of the trends that I've noticed that have come back to is, well, why do you think Black-owned businesses in the South lag sustainability behind the white-owned businesses in sales, profits, employment size, and survival probabilities?
It's like I said, it's simple. It's the ideology. It's the ideology of the country. It's the ideology of the South. It's passed down. And the way that the system is right now, until the last 2 generations and the next 3 generations, until they change it, which they eventually will change the ideology.
Future. Let's do this.
Yeah, definitely.
It's up to you, future.
So they definitely will change it, but it's just the way things are. It doesn't have to be a whole, like we know how things are. we know what has been for the past 700-800 years, as far as the Caucasian male stronghold, and just the way they do things, the way they set things up, as far as bank loans and as much as music streams. It's just the way it's set up. And so that is always the reason, but especially in the South, because it's a certain ideology. Now I am blessed to be able to move how I move and to get the business that I'm able to get and work and have a thriving business. But it hasn't been easy, and it hasn't been easy for a multitude of reasons. And those are obviously one of those reasons. But with that being said, even with it being a certain ideology, there are some people that break the mold.
Yes.
And I am blessed to deal with people who have broken the mold and said, okay, here's a minority business owner that does the services that we need. They might know another business owner, not of minority, Caucasian, whatever, Indian, whatever, but they decided to pick me. And so that is a blessing right there. I've dealt with both sides of the double-edged sword, if you will. I've stood on both sides. But yeah, it's strictly the ideology and how things are set up.
Indeed. And then right now, like you mentioned the future, the next couple of generations that is going to be moving forward. One thing I've noticed, from my opinion, I don't know if you've seen it from your side, is the lack of mentorship within these communities, of not just saying any real community to it that you're looking at, but I've noticed within the Black and Latina and minority communities of such, there is that lacking of older mentorships. Is there anything that you think that could be done to help kind of add? Because if you can expose them to, say, like a teacher like myself,
right,
that I could sit back and talk, but I cannot relate in the same way.
At all. Not at all. Not at all. So you have your mentorships. I am a mentor. I was a Athens Clark County community mentor until the pandemic. We know everything just went
that changed
haywire
for a lot of people.
But I still deal with my guys, and then the young artists that I deal with, and just all type of people. So I still do mentoring. But as far as like mass community mentoring, I mean, we have to stay alive. We have to care more as far as the older generation. And it's not everybody, but for a lot of people, mom and dad or mom or whoever, even grandma, they're in the room on Facebook and Twitter, and baby girl is in the other room on IG and TikTok, and the son is on IG Live or Facebook Live, and he's showing guns and smoking and so forth and so on. And so it always has to start in the home, regardless of lack of mentorship outside or not. It has to start in the home. And then when you do go outside, like I said, you're 40-year-old men and women, they can't still want to have fun, dress how you want to dress, but you have to set a boundary, because you still can't be running with 17, 18, even 22-year-old people that are trying to figure out their life. You're going to have to set a boundary and say, okay, well, this is what I learned up until this point or whatever. So that's probably like the biggest thing I think that's going on in society, period. It's just a disconnect between the older generation and the younger generation. Definitely in the minority communities, but just like I said, just in society, period. some of the younger generation, they're a little bit more than carefree.
Yeah.
It's like I'm always question authority type of person. In layman's terms, a wild boy, right? Like I'll always have that, like
You got that little streak,
that attitude,
there.
that
Still
attitude.
There.
But it's to live life without limits, but still have boundaries. Even though you're limitless, you still have boundaries, right? And certain type of morals and certain type of convictions. And so you can't be just like F everything. And I don't care about anything. And I don't care how you think about anything, right? Like, no, I don't care if you're judging me when I'm coming to get a contract, but I want you to respect my integrity. I want you to know. I don't want you to think that I'm just like F you in the world and I'm going to do what I want to do and bust a cartwheel, butt ass naked through dog shit, just off the rails. So some of the generation is like that. And then some of the younger generations like that. And then you have some of the older generation where they have overcorrected, right? So like they were the younger generation now, but just not on camera.
Yeah, that's the thing now. Everything is so accessible,
right,
by the camera, and it's there forever. That's a record that's not going away.
Exactly.
It's with you.
But for the older generation, because they didn't have a camera on them, they like to overcorrect and forget what they did.
Yeah.
And so you have that disconnect from the people who overcorrect, and then you have the ones who don't care. And so then you get a disconnect of mom, dad, I'm not trying to hear what you're saying. Then mom and dad is sick and tired of talking to the male or female, and it's a shit show, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So, I mean, if we could just have a little bit more of a connection with the younger generation, push more positivity and make it like, let them know that, you know, it is okay if you are what we call a square, right? Like if you're a square, if you're a nerd, like those are the cool people. Those are the ones, like, everybody can make any amount of money that they want to if they get to it. But the cool people, the ones that are focused and stay in school, 4.0 GPAs, those are the cool people, because everything else after that, especially if it's like nothing positive, then you're not going to last long out here.
Yeah. And I think they say it's 95+% of people you meet in high school, you're not going to see ever again.
No.
Like, you're just not. You may run into them from time to time to it, but in everything you've done in high school at that point, doesn't matter who you are. You're establishing these routines and these habits that are going to play with you your entire life. But at the same time, you got to be able to set those boundaries, set the morals up, set that stuff up. And whenever you're being disciplined of it, it's going to travel with you. I tell my students, if you're making a C and that's your best, that's your best. That's awesome.
Best. Yeah,
that's your best.
No
you don't
question.
have to be an A+ student.
No question.
If you're trying, I'm with you. I'm going to help you out entirely along that way to it. And I don't say you have to be off the rails athletic and have to be involved with all these clubs. You find your people, you establish these habits, you do your best, you're going to go a long way for it.
Definitely.
And just find yourself.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Definitely.
Find yourself. We've moved inside. Sorry for that pause. It got really hot. I think I drank through somewhere between 70 and 90 ounces of water. We were sweating like crazy out there, and it was a time to move inside. So now we're in some air conditioning. It's comfortable. We're going to pick ourselves back up. So do you find that there are societal expectations create limited access to Black males pursuing entrepreneurial ventures?
I mean, yes, of course, because they're always going to think that a Black male or minority can't do what a white male can do. So yeah, it puts a certain limitation on it or whatever. But if you are, like I said before, if you're able to get your foot in the door and know important people, you're able to break down those barriers and set very high expectations for the next people coming in the door behind you.
You have to. You got to raise that bar.
You have to.
Are there socioeconomic barriers that affect ethnicities and genders in starting businesses?
Another, of course, answer. You need money to do anything, right?
You do.
But if you put the right money in the right places, or the smart money in the right places, you're able to withstand and sustain. But it's always going to be socioeconomic restraints and differences or whatever. Like I said, until it's changed 3-4 generations from now, there'll always be. So It doesn't matter if you're an entrepreneur. It doesn't matter if you are a black football head coach or a woman's soccer coach. It's always going to be a pay disparity. It's always going to be just that difference in society.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that we put this on people.
Yeah.
Just because they make a little bit extra, a little less money,
yeah.
and not giving them access.
Yeah.
I know I was reading statistics, reading through statistics, that it is if 5 people go in to get a loan, say per se, we're going to do 5, so by 20% increments here.
Right.
They say that 1 out of 5 black males will be able to get a loan out of it. It doesn't matter if they have $1 million and already have the capital in place, or if they've got $10 and have contracts and stuff there in place. And other minorities that you're looking at are looking as well about 20% or less to be able to get there.
Yeah.
I know we had mentioned earlier about broad different types of history that we piled on top of it. Why do you think it's still to this day that people are afraid to loan out money to people of minority groups? That's a hard question.
It is. It is a hard question because I can't tell you what a bank is thinking in a sense, but I just have to go back to the ideology and what the system has set in place. You give it to 1 in 5. It's like a standard, if you will. It's like their guideline. That's the only thing I can think of is just the ideology and how the system is set up. It's always going to go back to that because people are scared to just break what they know. They assume that the white male is going to come in with 720 or 820 credit score and he can get the loan and he has all the credit in the world. And the black man is coming in with a 530, 620 credit score and he's not going to be able to pay his bills and be able to pay his loan, so forth and so on or whatever. And it's strictly because of ideology, stereotype, people not stepping out and taking a chance on minorities and whatnot. And it's a certain sector of people, and it's a large sector, but it's a certain sector of people. Everybody is not like that now. It was more evident, of course, 30, 40, 50 years ago, but still like that in certain places. And 2022, especially in the South. And it's strictly, like I said, how the system is set up, what the stereotypes are. Some people break the mold, a lot don't.
Yeah, and with that, setting up business, setting up shop anywhere, just getting a lease, getting a building, or something like that. How hard was it for you to be able to get like your first space around Athens to be able to set up shop?
Well, that's the good thing. So we don't have kind of like a space area right now. Now, like we were talking with what we got in the back of the home, that might be a little different now, but it wasn't so much as like it was hard for me to find my space as opposed to just my footing as a business, right?
Getting into a community, it's hard to get that foothold, get that acceptance.
It definitely.
So I'm sure you were competing against other different people when it comes to getting contracts and stuff.
Always. And I still am today for whatever contracts I have up for bid or whatever. But so it's always going to be hard to establish your footing. And like I said, as a black male entrepreneur, you have to show how serious you are. You have to come through the door as a wolf. You have to leave as a wolf. Simple and plain. Because they're going to expect some type of lackluster performance. They're going to expect a slacking of some sort. And that sucks for the stereotype and the thought process. So you have to come through the door and you always have to put your best foot forward. And you should be able to tell everybody that, right? Like, you got to put your best foot forward. But we know that some people don't have to and others have to more so than, the rest. Which is
unfortunate that should be that way because some of your best ideas are just overlooked.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so that would probably be like the biggest thing, just being able to put your best foot forward and being able to knock down those barriers and bypass the lackluster expectation that they think you might set.
Now, what do you think would happen, this is theoretically out here in the universe, if all communities had this equal access to comparable funding, resources, and mentorship to all races? Where do you think we could be as a nation right now, or as a world?
As a world? Oh wow, man!
I'm throwing that out there. Every country has this whole deal, and each country has their own.
Definitely. Here's the thing: perspective runs deep, right?
Yeah, agreed.
Perspective runs deep. So everybody is not going to be looking for like equal opportunity. They just want to make sure that their family is good or they're good, so forth and so on. I mean, if everybody had the access to good schools and good health care and equal opportunity at contracts and whatnot, you would probably have less crime. You would probably have less political debate. A lot of people wouldn't have stuff to run on.
Yeah, crazy platforms.
Yeah, right. And so, I mean, I guess everybody would be okay, but he's always going to be uncomfortable with something. Somebody's always going to be felt left out or something like that. So for the most part, man, I mean, I would like to see what would happen if everybody was put on the same playing field.
Now, here's the second half of the question.
Okay.
What do you think we can do to be able to get one step closer to breaking
everybody
down those
being
walls?
On the same playing field?
Yeah. How can we get there? What is the Paron plan?
I'm going to be honest with you. Paron has no plan for everybody to be on the same playing field. And I'm going to tell you why, because there are winners and losers in life. And I will not sink my ship because people don't want to swim.
You can lead a horse to water.
Period.
You can force it to drink. You can drown it.
Yeah.
But you can't force it to
You can't force it.
Yeah.
And so that, yes, I would love to see like some sort of world peace, right? And definitely slow down on gun violence and equal opportunity through all communities. I would love to see all that, but I can't tell you that I have a plan for everybody to be on the same playing field because everybody doesn't want to be on the same playing field. And that's, like I said, with perspective. Some people are fine where they are. I can look at them and be like, that's not for me. And then I can look at somebody who I perceive to have everything and they be very lowly and very miserable and unconnected to the world. So it's all about perspective, but I don't think there's reality to be truthful. That's
the best way to think. You got to think of reality for it.
Yeah, I just don't think that's reality.
I respect that.
Yeah. Some people in power should ease up on what they do and stuff like that. Like it's
people think they've got the right direction.
Like dictatorships and all that. Like, yeah, no, definitely no. We don't support that and all that, but there will always have to be
a leader, somebody.
Yes,
that can guide the ship, the captain.
Yeah. Exactly. So there will always have to be some power positions and all that. So nobody, everybody's not going to work to be on the same playing field. Even if it's right, like you said, even if it's right there in front of them, like you give them the path, you give them the tools, you give them a foolproof plan. You will not lose. And they could sit there and be like, I'm good. They can sit there and be like, I'm good. And they go left, right? So, or right, whatever.
Free will.
Yeah, free will. So, so I don't have a plan for that. Yeah. Sorry about that.
Oh, that is a plan.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, sometimes they need to take their path. It's not necessarily putting a label on it saying, this is the platform that you're running on in 2020. Was the next election 2024?
Yeah.
Like Paron 2024 running on this platform. Do you have a suggestion for, say, local communities on what we can do small that can make a big difference? What's something like that we could do right now that if someone's wanting to walk out into the community and see if they can be able to make a difference? What do you suggest to that person right now? That's a big-winded question as well.
It is. Get into the schools. Make sure that the kids that are in school, make sure they have everything they need. Because like I said, it starts in the home. But if it's not being given in the home, then people like you guys are the next best thing. And so you got to get into schools. You got to make sure that the kids are learning properly. You got to make sure that teachers are definitely compensated better for their time. Got to make sure everybody's protected, obviously. But that's what I would say, man. Just get into the schools, get the youth, and show them that we got so many different options. Even if when you go home, you see drag and just despair and just a bunch of bad shit, regardless if you live in a rural white area or if you live in an inner city project area and you're Latino or African American. They have to know that it's a way out of that. They have to know that if you don't get into the worst of the worst, whether it be a stray bullet or going down the wrong path or something like that, it is a way out of this struggle, this strife, this despair. And so that's what I would tell anybody. Get into the schools, see how your kids are learning, look at the communities they're coming from. And then if it's that bad and they feel as though they have no hope, show them, let them know that it is hope. It's a way out. Once again, it's all about perspective. So it's not about getting $10 billion, right? But It's about maintaining and living the best life you can and not be check to check, invoice to invoice, or whatever it may be.
That's true. Strong words. And you've dropped a lot of amazing knowledge on us here as we've been going through, as you always do with every conversation we have.
Appreciate that.
Do you have any, as we're getting ready to wind down here, any last minute things that we haven't discussed, knowledge that you want to pass on? The floor is yours on this that I have not, that I've overlooked.
I don't think you've overlooked anything. That's crazy. I thought it would be a little bit longer. Toughen it out and stayed outside. No, I'm playing. No. Just clowning. Words of encouragement, maybe. Just always continue forward. Even if you have like no way of seeing how it's going to get to the end successfully, just don't stop and you'll probably be successful. Whatever you perceive to be successful, you'll probably be successful. Just continue to believe in yourself. Do everything you can to reach your goal. Try to have the right people around you. Try to. Always go with your gut. And don't let 1 or 2 or even 4 roadblocks, right, stop you from getting to your goal. But the universe will show you what you are and what you're not supposed to be doing. The universe will show you. It'll be things that take place around you that either you're like, oh, here's a door. This is the door I've been waiting for to make this opportunity continue to happen.
Yes.
Or it will be, well, damn, there's no way I can get it done now. Move on to the next. And once that happens, once you go through that right there, then you move on to your next venture. But get to that point, fight that long to be like, all right, damn, it's really no way I can make this happen. It's not possible. Maybe something else needs to happen. Then this can happen. But right now it can't happen. But if you give up like because you failed once or twice or getting the proper phone calls or the proper information or something like that, then you didn't want to do it in the beginning. So if you want to do it, then and there's purpose behind it, then don't stop until you get it done. That'll probably be the one thing I end with.
Drop the microphone, walk away. There's not more can be said of that. That is perfect to be able to drop us in there. Paron, thank you for coming on to Learning from Friends. We have the joy of doing a second episode that's going to come out the week after this one. We're going to do a back-to-back week. I'm not going to spoil the topic for you. I'm just going to let you know to be ready to come back in and get some more knowledge from Paron as we sit back in our next conversation, as we normally get ready to do. I'm going to say first off, Paron, thank you again. It's always a pleasure.
I appreciate you. Definitely appreciate you coming back to the Classic City and tapping in with me. And I'll see you the next time you get up here. Definitely appreciate it, man. Appreciate the platform. Appreciate the conversation.
Totally forgot to do this. If someone wanted to reach out and talk to you, do you have a way that, hey, email me here or something like that?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So you can email me at wfibusy@gmail.com. And you can also find me on mostly all social sites, Paron, Paron _ Jamal, Jamaal. Shoot me an email or a DM. Let's see, we can talk about.
And I will put those links in the chat as well. So if anyone wants to be able to find that, they can be able to do so. If you want to reach out to me, I am on Twitter. Look under Learning for Friends podcast. Same with Facebook, Learning for Friends. If you would really like to, you can contribute to my Patreon page, which can be searched under Learning from Friends. I don't have any levels or special things to be able to contribute. I teach. I do the podcast. I am a one-man band to be able to do all the editing and everything. So just $1 or $2 a month would be deeply appreciated. You can reach out to me at cade, which is spelled CADE, at learningfromfriends.com. It's been an honor and a pleasure to be able to continue to have you as a guest. People coming in and sitting with us, thank you. As with the traditional sign-off, my name is Cade Curtis, your tour guide with Learning from Friends. And most of all, don't forget to let your curiosity fly high.